This is R.J. King, editor of dBusiness magazine, and with us today in our Royal Oak studio is Brad Coulter, a director and certified turnaround professional with O'Keefe & Associates, a financial advisory firm in Bloomfield Hills. Coulter has more than 25 years of experience in managing restructured firms, including serving as director of finance and development, along with numerous other duties at Guardian Industries in Auburn Hills. Coulter also served for 3 years on the corporate financial staff at General Motors. Brad, given that it's Media and Industry Week here in Detroit for the North American International Auto Show, which opens to the public on January 16th, could you assess the financial health and prospects of each of the big three automakers, as well as their suppliers? Let's start with GM.
Well, I think all the three, and GM in particular, are recovering. It was a disastrous market in 2009, as low as it's been really since the 60s, abnormally low. So what everybody's looking for is a recovery in volume, and for GM, maintaining some of the market share and not continuing to slide.
And how about Ford?
Ford seems to be in a little better shape. The public image of Ford not having taken the bailout money appears to be helping them. And you know, bottom line, they've got some great product that's come out, as has GM, which really will hopefully stem their market share slide and allow them to attract new buyers away from some of the transplants.
I think in a way, I mean, I see that GM has great products. It just doesn't seem like the message is getting to the marketplace.
Well, I think you're talking about a decades-long problem that's been building, and I think it's going to take a long time to turn it around. You know, you look East Coast, West Coast, GM and Chrysler and Ford to some extent don't even come into the buying equation. It's going to take years to turn that perception around in the market to get people to look again, but the only way to do it is with new product and continual emphasis on quality.
Okay, and how about Chrysler? What do you see for their prospects?
Chrysler still kind of up in the air as to where that's going to go. They're doing a number of refreshes on their existing platforms, but they're still heavily dependent on trucks. So it depends on the price of gas, and can the truck volume tide them over until the new products from Fiat come into the market in, say, 2011, 2012 to help diversify their product base to more passenger car oriented.
And it doesn't seem like they can afford any misses going forward with new product.
No, I don't think they can, and they really need to emphasize improvements in quality as well. Chrysler, of the three, has had a quality problem and a perception problem in terms of quality, and I think not only new product, but they need to continue emphasizing quality improvements to help turn it around in the consumer's mind.
And how about the supplier network for the entire automotive industry globally? Still some capacity issues out there?
There's still a lot of overcapacity. Where I mainly work is in the small to middle market, so companies between 25 million and 300 million in sales. And in that niche, there's still a lot of overcapacity. And suppliers are having difficulty finding adequate financing as well. Finding financing for building new tools, making capital investment is very difficult to find in this market. And I think that's going to cause some credit squeeze throughout 2010, and may cause some issues with the OEMs if their suppliers are not able to find adequate financing to gear up for some of the new platforms coming in.
Do you think the federal government might step in some way?
I don't think so. I think the issue really is still uncertainty in the economy, and a lot of the regional banks and local banks that lend into the middle market are still having internal problems of their own, given how much real estate is on the books and problems in working through their real estate portfolios. They have a limited amount of capital to lend out, and they're being selective as to who gets it.
Okay, in his new book, Crash Course, Wall Street Journal writer Paul Ingracia contends the U.S. auto market is no longer controlled by the big three, but what he calls the medium six, where GM, Ford, and Chrysler are joined by Toyota, Honda, and Volkswagen. And all six of those companies each have a similar market share of 10 to 15% of the U.S. market. I guess, do you agree with that assessment? And will that be it going forward, more of a sort of a European model?
I think that's where we're headed, especially with GM giving up Saturn and Pontiac and getting rid of Hummer and Saab. I think you're going to see their market share stabilize somewhere in the high teens. The real key is not so much what's your market share, but making money. Can you make money at the market share? Have they restructured enough and eliminated enough fixed costs so they can be profitable at whatever market share they settle at? And that's the real key.
Okay. And I see that, Ford has done a very good job with the entry of Alan Mulally, who was CEO 3 years ago, and they were able to, mortgage the company, so to speak. I guess looking back, GM and Chrysler probably wish they could or should have done that. But do you sort of see that Ford has the upper hand between the three of them?
At this point in time, but again, it can change quickly depending on new product introduction and how the market perceives, especially some of the new models GM's coming in with. Yes, GM and Chrysler maybe could have levered up their assets and not taken government bailout money, but I think it would have been much more difficult for them to go through the radical restructuring that they undertook through the bankruptcy process. They really did major surgery on the company, and that was what was needed to save these companies from failing.
And I guess, what are you looking for to come out of this auto show?
I think some excitement about product. I mean, the biggest thing that any of the domestic OEMs can have is getting people to look at product. Especially we're looking at 2010 to still be a fairly down market for auto sales. It's essential that they stop the market share slide and get people excited about their product and get them into the showrooms and get them into the buying equation. And
how do you sort of assess this plug-in hybrid electric cars that Nissan wants to do? I mean, it just seems that there's going to be so many different choices, and will this be more of a niche market than it will be mainstream?
Anything I've seen indicates it's going to be a niche market unless there's one of two things. Either gas prices get up above $4 a gallon again, where it makes it economically feasible or desirable to pay the extra money for a hybrid, or there's some kind of tax credits incentivizing people to buy the cars. But unless either of those happen, it's probably going to be a small but growing niche.
Okay. And how about the big three's foreign sales? GM and Ford have global reach and have clearly done fairly well. And Chrysler is much further behind, but might have a better handle on it now with their partnership with Fiat.
Well, and I think that's key for Chrysler. Economies of scale play a huge role in the auto industry, as you're seeing with any of the global OEMs, and being able to develop platforms across a number of continents and share design and share content, part content across South America, Asia, Europe, and North America is really key to being successful as a global producer. I think GM and Ford are strong in that area. I think it was very good that GM kept Opel. I think it would have been a mistake to sell Opel. And I think the real key to Chrysler's survival is integrating with Fiat. And it's yet to see how that will happen.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of great history there, but, and Chrysler goes way back to 1927 with their founding, and then they took on Nash and Packard, and I forget that
AMC, I believe.
Yeah. And then that all became Jeep was what it was, and then Jeep came out. So that went okay, but certainly the Daimler relationship didn't pan out very well. So hopefully Fiat can get going. Any closing thoughts as we go into this big week for Detroit?
Well, I'm certainly more optimistic at this year than I was at this time last year. I think the restructuring that Chrysler and GM have gone through was exactly what needed to be done. You could argue maybe more could have been done in some areas, but it really saved this industry in Detroit. And I'm hopeful that some of the new product coming out will allow them to keep their market share and hopefully start returning to profitability as the car industry volumes pick up. Problem is, a lot of it's out of their control. It depends on the economy. It depends on housing prices. It depends on the availability of credit. And will auto volumes pick up enough to get them back to profitability in 2010, or will it have to wait until 2011 or 2012?
Okay. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Brad.
Thank you.